Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a modular out of a Lego set. So let's get started. Okay, so the example that I'm going to be using today is the Holiday Main Street set that came out 2 years ago. I really like this set actually. It came with these two buildings that you see here, as well as a tram, and I think a tram stop as well. But it's really cool, but the problem is that these buildings were so shallow. They had no depth to them, and you couldn't really place figures inside, and there wasn't really an interior. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a full modular out of a Lego set. So as you guys can see, the depth that I created for this building is a full, I think 16 or maybe 18 studs here. And so this building, as well as the toy store next door, they are both completely modularized. I created backs to them as well, and they'll both have back doors and windows on the back as well. And the sides of the walls are relatively plain, but you know, they're designed to be so that you could put a building up against it and it still looks good. So in order to properly show you guys how exactly I made this, I pulled it out from the base plate over here, or the foundation I mean, and so let me pull this apart a little bit and show you guys exactly how I did this. Okay, so I took the top floors off, and as you guys can see, this is pretty much a square here, 16 studs by 16 studs. I kept the facade pretty much the exact same as the set, which I'll put a picture up on the screen if you guys haven't seen the original set. But this first floor, if you just looked at it like this here, it looks pretty much the exact same. The figures are obviously different. One of these is a collectible minifigure, but that doesn't really matter. The facades, though, look exactly the same, and I tried to keep it like that so that it resembled the set properly. And then on the inside, the details are pretty lackluster just because I kind of threw this together, and I didn't have enough tiles to actually create a floor pattern for either of them. But one day I want to come back in and I want to add these tile designs in, and I want to properly add the register in and a couple different things. This music shop here, I did steal a lot of builds, the mini builds from the moving truck that came with the Jazz Club as a promo set. And so the jukebox was part of that, the wall art was part of it, the drums were part of the set, I believe, and the piano was also from that moving truck. And then over here we have the toy store, and I left the wreath on, but that's very simple to take off. You just kind of pull at it like this here, and well, it comes off in sections, but it does eventually come off. And okay, so we're gonna just leave that other stud there for now, but it does work, and it does come off pretty easily. And so you can just leave it like this if you want, but the inside is even more lackluster than the other one. And this is pretty much all it looks like for now. I didn't even add in the shelves on the wall here, but eventually, like I said, whenever I add in the tile details, I would love to go back in and add some more shelves and add some more products in here, and hopefully make this look a lot nicer than it currently does. And the other thing to note about this first floor here is that I didn't combine the I didn't connect the walls that are adjacent to each other. So if I wanted to put this on a half base plate and put it in a completely different part of the city, and I wanted to put this on a half base plate and let's say keep it next to the Jazz Club here, I could do that without a problem. And so I could just rip all of this off the base plate and put it on a different one and pretty much call it a day. But the original set had pretty much the depth was up to here, or maybe it was one extra brick. And so I had to go in and add in a bunch of depth here. I had to add in my own pieces, and a lot of this I did just digitally design and then put a bricks and pieces order in and order all of this stuff. And down here I did add in instead of adding 2 bricks, I added a brick and 2 plates. And then just to kind of keep that exact same design that the original set had here, at like having the plate, the masonry brick, and then the plate on top of that, just to kind of keep it as close as possible to that original set. I'm just trying to keep it faithful here. I'm not trying to add anything crazy to it. But yeah, the only liberties that I really took with it were on the back here. Like I think I talked about earlier with the having doors on the back of each of them, and also having windows just to let a little bit of extra light in. So the next floor is pretty self-explanatory. The plate work is very basic, and it's actually, this plate here came with the set itself, and I had to add in all these other plates throughout here to add the depth and also make sure that there's a gap here, and so I wanted to make sure that this just didn't have a random stud poking out of the top here. And so yeah, this extra stud actually on the side here, right here, connects to the drain pipe, so it kind of makes it look at least a little bit more cohesive here. And so the details inside, I didn't add anything else other than what's in the original set. And so you have this little kitchenette as well as a table and some chairs. And the windows I kept the same. And then on the back here, I added my own windows with a little bit of a AC unit on the bottom of each of them. And I think I also added a ledge or a windowsill to each of the windows. And I think it looks pretty good. The windows are pretty much the same as the bottom. The design of them is pretty similar. And so again, like I mentioned in the clip about the first floor, all of these bricks in here are pretty much extras. The 1x2s and the 1x1s that were here, I did get to reuse, but the depth of the building, the original set ended about here. And so I wanted to make this the full depth of a modular building. I could have cheated and, you know, maybe even brought it back to just here, like halfway, but I wanted to do it right, and I wanted to just do it properly, because then, like I said, if I wanted to put this in a different spot in the city, I could easily do that without having it look weird or out of place. Now, again, let me just rotate this for you so you guys can see all four sides and pretty clearly how I did this. I had all the bricks here. Again, like I extended all this with my own pieces, and I added an extra layer of plate and then the tiles on top as well. So now let's take a look at the second floor for this side. Okay, so on this one, it has a little wreath up on the top here, which I never took off. I thought it looked fine as it was. And also, there's a snot break in here. And so in order to get rid of that, you would have to turn it around, and then you'd have the studs on the inside, which if you need it on the inside, that's pretty helpful. But I did, you know, the interior is the same as the original set. And so pretty much half of this room, or more than half of the room, is empty. And so I haven't designed an interior for it yet, so I don't know if I'm going to need the snot brick. So just leaving it like this for now. And plus, I think it adds a little bit of extra color to it, so it looks pretty good. And the windows here, these are from the original set, obviously. And I did the exact same window design on the back as well. Even though it wasn't needed, I thought it looked a lot nicer having the architecture around the top here to match, instead of just having the window panes and the windowsill. And again, like I mentioned, I added in a lot of my own pieces into this, and I think it looks really good, actually. It's very simple, it's very basic, but I think it does work. And olive green is one of those colors that, I don't know about you guys, but I just don't have a lot of it in my collection, except for like 2x2 plates or like cut plates that I got off the pick brick wall. And so a lot of these pieces I had to order. I could have just used tan pieces and it would have looked fine. Like I could have kept the olive green like from here around and to about here. I could have kept that as olive green and then just made the rest of it tan, and it would have been fine. No one would have ever really known, because there would have been a building on this wall and this building is up against here. But I wanted to just get it wrapped around, and I want it to look right. You know, if you look at it from all sides, or if this side doesn't have a building next to it, I want it to look like it's supposed to be like this. And so now for each of the roofs, for this one, I kept it very simple, way more simpler than it probably should have been. But this sloped part up here from this Technic brick forward was part of that original set, and everything else back here I extended out. And this 8x16 plate was a part of it. And so, or no, I think it was a 6x16, but even still, the plate work itself is pretty simple. And then on top, I added in a couple of planters just to add a little bit of color, and then a step here, which I'll explain in a minute, and then a table and a nice outdoor rug here. And I could have, what I probably should have done was added in like a full wall here and then put a roof over this so that it's an actual third floor. But I wanted to have a little bit of outdoor seating here just to kind of break it up and make it look a little bit more interesting. And now for the toy store, the roof of this one, again, the front of it is the exact same as the set. And the only difference is that I took the snow off at the top of each of these. So obviously they do look slightly different than the original set, but the intent is to kind of make it look like it's not in the wintertime. And so that step from this building here kind of steps over the crack or the seam of the building here, and it has a nice outdoor area here with a couple of pails, a water can, and a basket, and also a nice little planter here. And so I wanted to kind of create a story here and connect these two, so it made kind of sense. And there wasn't really a room to put a staircase in either of these buildings. I guess I could have, in hindsight, put a staircase in one of them, or at the very least a ladder on the back of one of them, but I didn't think it needed it. A lot of sets don't really, at least in my opinion, they don't need a staircase. It's Lego. It's, you know, you can kind of just use your imagination. And so I think this is fine as it is. And so now that I have it placed back into the city, I wanted to show you guys one last thing before I wrap up the video here, and that's the depth between each of the buildings here. I purposely made it so that this olive green building, the toy store, was 2 studs back from the music store here, just to give it kind of like a step forward here, to give it kind of some visual interest and some depth on the sidewalk here, and also to help create some depth with the jazz club here as well. Because a lot of the modular buildings that they create nowadays are pretty much either like this or on the same row of studs as each other. And so I wanted to give it a little bit of depth here because I had an idea that I was going to place this next to the jazz club anyways. And so I designed this from like the very beginning with this in mind. And so I wanted to have a little bit of depth on this side, and also I didn't want to have too much because of the dark orange wall, because this blue is just a facade on the jazz club. After this, everything else on this first floor is dark orange, and so I didn't want to see both colors. I only wanted to see the blue, so I just made sure to keep it at that height, or that depth I mean there. And then this one, in relation to the toy store, I brought it 2 studs forward so that it wasn't exactly in line with this, but it was kind of here, it was here, and then it went back, and then it came forward a little bit just to give it some visual interest, like I mentioned. And so on that note, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this helpful, you found it useful in any shape or form, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any feedback for me or something that you would have done differently on this, make sure to drop a comment down below. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.